With three new characters coming up in Genshin Impact, which of the three should you guys be going for? Ganyu, Zhao, or Hu Tao? What are they like? What's the synopsis? What's their playstyle? And we're going to be talking about all of that and who's the strongest out of the three. Let's go in here. Let's start off with Ganyu, who is going to be the one that should be coming out next. We actually know she's coming out next in 1.2 really soon here in January. So Ganyu is going to be that bow cryo character, and she does do a couple of cool, neat things with her in your party, and she also has her own playstyle, so keep that in mind as well. Her scaling stat is going to be critical damage, and she does have a very nice amount of base attack from what we can see so far. She goes up to 335 base attack. That's nice. That means she's going to scale exceptionally well with attack percent and critical hit chance, as every other character does, but she's going to have that extra crit damage on it as well, so she's going to do really well in those cryo teams that are starting to crop up, especially with the new cryo set. So if you're looking out for Ganyu, definitely start farming up that cryo set as you inch your way towards her coming out. We'll probably pull for her on the channel too, so if you want to see that, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, so when that comes out, we can have a fun time together there. The thing that sets her apart the most is her unique sort of emphasis on the charge attack playstyle that bow characters really didn't have up until now, right? Every character that was a bow character had the ability to charge attack, but she's got a level 2 charge attack, and this is where all of her good damage is going to be coming from. Because when you charge it up, which takes an extra half a second, so instead of it being like 1.5 seconds to charge attack her, it's going to be 2 seconds is where you're going to be going and charging up. She's going to do that Frost Flake arrow bloom damage. That second hit, you're going to do the normal charge attack, and then it's going to blow up and do AoE cryo damage. And that AoE cryo damage bloom is going to have the large multiplier on it, as you can see here. It's a substantial amount of extra damage, over 100% multiplier increase over the normal charge attack. So keep that in mind as well. The bloom damage is huge with this, so it's huge. That's where all the damage is coming from there. Now this means two things for you. You're gonna have to, number one, build a team composition around her. That's probably your guys' number one priority. You want a team composition with crowd control in it. You want a team composition that emphasizes freezing enemies, because then you get to use the cryo set, so that's going to go hand in hand there. So probably like an Animo character, or maybe Zhongli will come into fruition there with this Petrify. Maybe Petrify freeze team Zhongli will be nice in there as well, because 2 seconds sounds like a short time. 2 seconds is a fairly long time, especially if you're doing something like High Tier Abyss, where there's multiple monsters. You're just going to get hit and flinched out of your charge attack over and over and over, and that's kind of the playstyle that you're going to have to deal with her, unless you get some of her later constellations that really sort of emphasize her getting around a lot more. Now, she does base form at C0 have a way to sort of help herself out with this, because her E is a taunt style thing. We've seen this with like Mona, as well as our girl Amber back in the day, or they still exist, I guess. And it's a little bit of combination of the two of them. So she does do like a backdash, kind of like Mona does, but like Amber's, it actually has an HP pool and it can be destroyed. Mona's just kind of sits there and taunts things and does constant damage, but Amber's has HP, and then when it takes enough damage, it blows up. And that's what her Ganyu's is going to be doing. It's going to have HP, and it's going to sit there, and then it'll blow up and do its damage after it blows up. But she does have a taunt that's going to help you out there as well, but she only has one charge of it at C0. Her burst here is a long duration, long radius elemental burst here. It's going to last for 15 seconds, and it's going to rain down damage on your opponents throughout the duration and do AoE cryo damage. This does get stronger with her constellations as well, so let's go over those real quick after we do her ascension, so you guys have the full picture here. Her first ascension here is going to be the Frost Flake arrow. It's Tony the Tiger coming through. Critical hit rate of subsequent Frost Flake arrows will have additional 20% crit hit rate, so that's going to be very nice. That's going to help you a ton, right? Especially if you're using that crit set where you want enemies to be frozen. You put her in a freeze team. She has crit from this. She got base 5% crit. You're going to have 40% crit rate against frozen enemies. If you're in a double cryo team, that's going to be 15% more crit hit rate. That's already like 80% crit hit rate. Straight out the gate. That makes her very powerful. That's why it's very nice that she gets critical damage as her scaling stat. In between Harmony and Heaven and Earth here, we have the Celestial Shower. Her elemental burst to give her 20% cryo bonus damage if you're inside her own ultimate. So you want to be close range. Remember, the burst radius is pretty big, but it's not like a football field sized burst radius. So we're going to have to test out like how much of a bonus you can get from Amos bow, right? With the Amos bow duration, distance 0.5 seconds. If it takes 0.5 seconds to hit an enemy, you get bonus damage on your normal and charge attacks. That's still going to need to be tested out there though, but I'm pretty confident Skyward Harp's going to be exceptionally powerful because you just slap Skyward Harp on her in that team composition. 100% crit hit rate. Stack all the crit damage you want. You don't even need crit rate on your gear. You're going to have 100%. Just let it all go. Now, her constellations here are going to sort of significantly take away some of the weaknesses of her playstyle and sort of make her more fun to play as well. I know a lot of people had an issue with this. I was one of the people that had an issue with it, not because of power, but because of fun. You take a character who's just basically a turret, shooting one thing every 2 seconds, and you turn them into like a combo-oriented machine, and it's really cool. So here we go. The first constellation here, Dew Drinker, if you do happen to get a second copy of her. Taking damage from a level 2 Frost Lake Arrow or the Bloom reduces their cryo resistance by 15% for 6 seconds, and it's going to regenerate 2 energy for Ganyu as well. So this does 2 things, more damage and faster elemental burst. That's nice. Her Constellation 2 is going to give you a second charge of her elemental skill. That's going to be her Taunt. So that's going to take a big weakness away of her playstyle that we talked about. She's not very mobile. And if you have to cancel out of your charge attack animation over and over and over, that's going to be a significant loss in damage per second because I'm charging, and I have to move. I'm charging, and then I get hit, or I'm charging. So you really need to have crowd control, freeze, stuff like that in your team with her. If you don't have that stuff put together yet, and you want her anyway, maybe it might be time working on that Sucrose. Maybe have that Venti laying around. Maybe have, a Xingqiu that you haven't used yet, water character. Maybe have like a Diona, pair all that stuff together and have a good time there. Her fourth one is going to make enemies inside her elemental burst take more damage over time, up to 25%, massively powerful. And then her sixth one here, when you use her elemental skill, her next Frost Lake Arrow auto charges. It doesn't require charge time. So that makes her much more quick on her feet, right? You throw the elemental skill off, instant charge attack, and it's for within 30 seconds. So if you're doing like domains or world bosses or something, you can throw your E out there, wait for it to recharge because the recharge is only 12 seconds, and you'll still have that Frost Flake Arrow buff from your C6. So then you spawn the monsters, you insta shot, throw them out, insta shot, throw one out, insta shot, 3 insta shots, back to back to back. Very powerful there. So very strong character. She is going to want to have a team built around her to take away the weaknesses of her basically standing in place at all times. But every character has a weakness, and whether or not you want to pull for her is more or less based around whether or not you like that play style. Obviously, you have everyone that you like in Genshin Impact. You guys pull for whoever you have the most fun with, and that's why we want to go over the playstyle more so than the power. She's going to be extremely powerful in the right team compositions. One other last weakness for her is the same sort of weakness that any sort of character that wants to be played in a specific team is. So if you're playing a lot of multiplayer, you have like the cryo set on her. You're not running into that double cryo team. You don't have freeze everywhere. You don't have a single person in your team in multiplayer running water. You're going to have a bad time. So the next one is going to be Zhao here. Zhao is just going to be a big, he just wants to do damage. No real gimmicks, no real games. He's just coming in to lay down the smackdown, basically. That's what Zhao is going to be about here. So he has critical rate as his scaling stat. Very nice there. And also has significantly high base attack as well, 349, even higher than Ganyu. So very nice. Scales exceptionally well with critical hit damage and attack percent. So that's going to be incredibly powerful here. He also has a multiple hits on his combo attack chain. 2 hits on his first attack, 2 hits on his fourth attack. Charge attack, he's got to wait for that to not cost stamina. He's a monster. He no games, no business. He's just here to do damage. His elemental skill is the Luministic Wind Cycling here. It's going to be a dash that he does. It does animo damage. Not the highest multiplier in the world, but it does hit pretty hard. At level 8, it's still a 400% multiplier. So that's nice. You can use this in midair if you want to just evade around. Just running this through enemies. That's all you're going to want to do. Just run right through enemies with it. Do a bunch of damage. It's got a 10-second cooldown, and it has 2 charges, which is very nice. 2 charges at C0. Then his ultimate here, the Elemental Burst, the Bane of all evil. No games, no fuss with Zhao, boys. So this is what he does do. He's going to put on the Yaksha mask. You've seen the animation before. It looks nice. And it's going to increase basically his damage in a lot of ways. It's going to increase his damage by a lot. So it's going to give him normal attack, charge attack, and plunging attack damage bonuses. Now, we've seen this before. How does this work? This is going to work just like the sets, right? The Gladiator set that gives you 35% normal attack bonus. It's going to be that multiplier that he gets. As you can see at level 10, if you max this out, it's going to be a 95% multiplier increase. So that's going to be like wearing almost like triple Gladiator set on this character, except for it affects his normal attack, his charge attack, and his plunging attack. So he gets a massive massive damage bonus while he's in this form. Now, the duration of this form is 15 seconds, and it has an 18-second cooldown, but it does have a very expensive, it's pretty expensive, 70 energy cost here as well. There's also one other drawback here, is you're going to lose HP per second while you're in this. Now, thankfully, as you level this skill up, the HP per second is going to decrease over time. So at level 1, it's going to drain you for 3% of your current health per second. Now, it's current health, keep that in mind. Current, not maximum. And then it's going to, at level 10, it's going to only be 2% of your current HP per second. Now, why is that difference, current versus maximum, significant? That's because the longer that you're in this form, because it's current HP, the less each tick is actually going to do damage for you on, right? If you're at full HP, 3% of your current HP at full, that's a full 3%. But then it's less than 3%, then it's less than that, then less than that, then less than that, then less than that. So it's not gonna like drain, you know, it's not gonna kill you. If it was maximum HP at 2% HP per second in 15 seconds, that's gonna hit you for 30% HP, but it's not going to do that because it's current HP. So it's gonna hit you for like maybe 20-something% of your HP if you stay in it for the full 30-second duration there, which is very, 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 very nice. Now, that new spear is coming out that gives you bonus HP to attack percent scaling. That spear does have critical damage on it. That's the best part of that spear. But remember, he's not going to be draining his HP down to like 20% because this is current HP. You're not going to be building him for HP percent. His base HP is 12k. Nice, but his base attack is super high. You're going to have a whopping like 600 and something attack on a spear. Throw that on him, you're going to have like 950 base attack. You will never come close stacking HP percent with a new spear, even at refinement rank 5, than you would have just stacked an attack percent, because at 950 attack, 10% attack is going to get you 95 attack. With the new spear, even if you built for like 50k HP, 10% HP would get you, I think we calculated out in the other videos, like 52 attack. Nowhere near as good. Nowhere near as good, unless you just want like a tank gears out. But all that's going to do is just make you take more damage over time anyway, because it's your current health. It doesn't matter. Just build him attack percent. He's going to do a lot of damage there. Now, we also have some ascensions for him. While he's under the Bane of Evil, all damage he does do is going to be increased by 5%, and it's going to increase by another 5% every 3 seconds that he's in this elemental burst form, up to a maximum of 25% damage. So he's just there not to play, guys. He's just there to do a whole bunch of damage. His second ascension, using the wind cycling, increases the damage of other wind cycling effects by 15%, and this lasts for 7 seconds, has a maximum of a new 3 stacks. So gaining a new stack as well refreshes the stack. So it wants you to just spam your E over and over and over. Auto attack a little bit, E, auto attack a little bit, E, auto attack a little bit, E. Now, Constellation 1 here is going to increase the cycling, wind cycling charges by 1, so you'll go up to 3 charges instead of 2, which is where you're going to be able to get that 3 stacks from his second ascension there. After that, though, we have C2's gives him some additional energy recharge when he's not in the party. When he is in the party and not on the field, this is going to give you, right? Remember, 70 cost on his elemental burst is very expensive, but this is going to help you a little bit. Not game breaking, but it's going to help you a little bit. C4 is going to give you a defense bonus when his HP falls below 50%. That's okay. That's pretty strong to make him harder to kill, right? When you're using, maybe you don't have like a healer in your party, you're just slowly draining your HP over time with his elemental burst. And he's going to get 100% defense bonus. That's nice because his base defense is pretty high, 799. So you're going to go up to just shy of 1,600 HP if you have that Constellation 4, but not game breaking. Then his Constellation 6, while he's under the Bane of Evil, hitting 2 people with a plunging attack gives him 1 charge of his elemental skill. And for the next 1 second, he can use the elemental skill, ignoring its cooldown. Now, this is going to be a slight playstyle change and give you a nice little burst of damage here. But it's cool. You know, you plunge attack and you can E again, jump, plunge attack, E again. Maybe you E 3 times and then you just plunge attack 3 times. You get all your charges back and you E 3 times and you do plunge attack 3 times, E 3 times. It's cool. It's cool. You know, it's nothing broken though. Because remember, a lot of his damage is coming from not really his E. His E is going to do a good portion of his damage. But while you're within Bane of Evil, you're getting a normal attack, charge attack, and plunging attack damage bonus, not an elemental skill damage bonus. So keep that in mind as well. The other thing to know about Zhao is that all of his damage is converted to animo damage while he's in his elemental burst. And that can't be overridden by any other elemental infusion. So If you have ways, there's only a couple ways to actually reduce elemental damage for Anemo in the game. That's going to be something that you're going to want to do there, right? You can't Viridescent Venver set swirl Anemo. That doesn't work. It doesn't. You cannot swirl Anemo and you cannot swirl Geo, right? But if you have like a C4 Jean laying around somewhere, she does a 40% Anemo resist down, but he's just there to just do damage, take names, not mess around. He just put the mask on and just do damage. So if he's very easy to throw into a team, he is going to be able to do swirl, right? If you have another elemental member in your party, right? You have like cryo characters, pyro characters, whatever. As you're doing damage with Zhao, it's not going to be your main focus, but he's going to do an extra little bit of free swirl damage, spread the pyro around over and over and over and over and over, and that's going to be fun for you there. Now, Hu Tao here, the newest character to talk about here, the one that everyone's talking about right now, we've gone over a couple of times, and she's going to be a cool character. She's going to need to be supported just like Ganyu wants to be supported as well, but for different reasons. And this is because she's going to do a lot of burst pyro damage, and she's going to have some follow-up damage as well. But on top of that, she can't be your sole main damage dealer. Not really. She's got like a burst window. It's a pretty lengthy burst window. It's not like Ningguang where she swaps in, does a bunch of damage and leaves. She's more like an extended Ningguang where she swaps in, does a bunch of damage, keeps doing a bunch of damage, does a bunch of damage, and then you have to leave because your stats are going to be bad. Basically is what it is. So let's talk about that real quick. So her base attack here, very low, 106, maybe the lowest in the game. Base defense, pretty high, 876. She gets free critical damage as well, so 88.4%. That's very nice. Nothing unique on her normal attack combination change. She's got one multi-hit attack on the 5th attack. That's it. The multipliers on this are okay. Nothing crazy. A little bit higher than Zhongli, a little bit lower than Xingling, but we don't know the animation time on these yet. But from what we can see right now, nothing super crazy with her normal attack and charge attack combinations. Now, her elemental skill is what makes her a character, and this is what makes her a very interesting character for a lot of you guys out there. And this is because it really wants you to build percent HP on her. And you are going to want to build percent HP on her because of this skill. You are also going to want to maximize the skill. Priority number one, max this bad boy out, max out the elemental burst. Obviously, max all your character skills, but this one significantly. Why? At level 1, it's going to give you 3.8% of your maximum HP, and it's going to convert that to attack for you. At level 10, it's going to give you 6.26% of your maximum HP and convert that to attack for you there as well, which is huge. Huge, 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 huge. The other thing that's very significant is you also still want to have a very high base attack. So she's going to work very well. If you have high-end artifacts, you're going to want to have a 5-star weapon for her too. This is because this conversion of HP to attack, it cannot exceed her base attack by more than 300%. So what does that mean? It means if you have like a 3-star spear on her, and at level 90, that 3-star spear is giving her like 350 attack. So you have 350 plus 108 on her own base. So her real base attack is like 450. It means that you're not going to be able to gain more than like 1300 attack this way from stacking HP. So if you got really good artifacts, HP everywhere, and you would get like 2000 attack, you're not going to because your base attack is so low. So you're really going to want to have a 5-star weapon on her. She's going to be a high investment character for you guys out there as well. The other thing that this does do is going to convert all of your damage to pyro damage for the duration here. And it's going to also make that pyro damage unable to be overridden by any other sort of imbue. So like, you know, you can't make it cryo with Chongyun's field or anything like that. It also is going to apply the effect called the Blood Blossom when you hit an enemy, and Blood Blossom is going to make the enemies inflicted with it take pyro damage periodically every 4 seconds. That's going to be elemental skill damage there for you as well. So keep that in mind there. The other thing is what we talked about here, Blood Blossom duration of the ability. Blood Blossom lasts 8 seconds, so it's going to tick pyro 2 times. The duration of the buff itself is 9 seconds, but the cooldown of the buff on her elemental skill, 16 seconds. So this is where all of her that's her burst window. She's got 9-second burst window. You come in, use your elemental skill, do a bunch of damage with the normal and charge attacks, drop your elemental burst if possible, and then leave. Now, what about her elemental burst here? What is that going to do for you here? This is Spirit Soother. Spirit Soother is going to do 2 things. It's going to do damage and it's going to heal you. But it's going to do those things in 2 different ways. There's going to be a threshold of HP that's going to make it do additional damage and additional healing. So if you're below 50% HP, you're going to be doing bonus damage. But this is very easy to use and utilize with her elemental skill, because when you activate the skill, it hits you for 30% of your current health. So if you're at full 100% HP, you activate this, you drop down to 70%. Right? You activate this again, you're going to be dropping down 30% of your current HP. So keep that in mind there. That's going to hit you for, drop you down to 50%. That's going to be a good thing there. I think that works out. 70%, 30% current HP of 70% health. Half is 35. It should take you just below 50% health. So 2 activations without healing yourself in any way is going to drop you below 50%. You're going to get the increased damage here, and you're going to get the increased HP regeneration. When you hit an enemy with the elemental burst, you heal. As you can see at level 10, 13.6% of your max HP, and you can heal for up to 5 enemies hit. So you AoE this, you hit them all, you're at 50% health, you're going to heal back up to full. And then you just kind of rinse and repeat. She's very self-sufficient. A lot of people were worried about if she was going to need like a full-time healer, just use Barbara, heal her up. No, you're going to drop her in, elemental skill, do a bunch of damage. She's going to leave, and then you're going to drop her in again, elemental skill, do a bunch of damage, drop your ult, and leave again. And she's going to leave at full HP, so you're going to keep going in this burst every other time I swap her in sort of thing, which is a very cool playstyle. This also does do a lot of damage. A low skill HP damage at level 10, 617% damage in an AoE. Pretty powerful there. So you're going to want to, you could even utilize her in like a melt team where she is the one proccing melt as well. So you could do that on top of that. If you wanted to use her in a melt team or a vaporize team, go for it. You don't need to, but it's going to be a good way to play her because of that big one-hit burst. Swirl the pyro, swap her in, do the damage, boom, melt it. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be swirl pyro, apply crowd, everything, swap her back in, and hit everyone with her elemental burst. It's going to be pretty nice. It's going to be pretty nice as well. So keep that in mind there. Now she's going to have a couple stipulations here. She is going to work really, really, really well with the new spear that's coming out. If you guys want to see a video on that, I put one up literally just yesterday. Check that one out. But that spear is basically just her E on a weapon, which is very, 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 very good. It's Guide to the Afterlife on a weapon, and it's just gonna reinforce building HP on her. She's gonna give you even more attack. That weapon can give up to 1700 extra attack on its own, which is very nice because this cares about whether or not you have 300% of your base attack. The weapon doesn't. The weapon's its own thing. So you're gonna be able to double dip on building Hu Tao for HP percent with that weapon. It's gonna be insanely strong for her. Now, which of the 3 should you guys pull? Which of the 3 you guys should pull is based on your playstyle and what you want. Do you want like the Lone Ranger coming out to do damage, doing nothing, doesn't care about anyone or anybody? Get in there and use Zhao. Second Lone Ranger, Hu Tao coming here. You want to have that fun playstyle, in and out, not really a main damage dealer, but someone who's supportive damage. You have like 2 damage dealers back to back. Very strong option for you there. You want the freeze McQueen? You got the team ready. You got the double cryo. You got the hydro character. Maybe put an animal character in there as well. So for some crowd control, or maybe Zhongli. That's gonna be fun as well. So all 3 of them are very, very, very powerful characters. Pull for the one that you are going to have the most fun with. That's what we do on the channel. We take a look at what you guys are interested in, what you guys want to use, even if they're B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier, not even in the game yet tier. We'll give you guys the information to arm yourself with the knowledge so you guys can have fun with the characters that you want to have fun with and prosper with them. So if you want to see that stuff, guys, come and join the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one now. Take care. Until then, like that video, YouTube stuff, and I'll see you then.